Here we go. Number 2, brand new problem again. No new concepts, just different problem, okay? It says graph of f is shown on which of the following intervals is the first derivative of f. This symbol means the same thing as f prime. So hands up, what am I going to circle on Danica's chart based on that clue? Here we go. What do I circle on Danica's chart based on that clue? Wait for a couple more. Hoping for a couple more. Let's go, Lexi.
Plus.
Which plus?
On Danica's chart?
Yeah, you're good. Like over here on Danica's chart, I could circle this plus or this one.
Yeah.
Which one?
That one, first one.
The first one, there we go. So you're doing great. The way to say it is you want to go to the f prime column, and this says that f prime is always positive. How many knew? Point 2 for Lexi. So, but that makes a correspondence, Lexi. Knowing that, we suddenly know something else. What else do we know?
That it's increasing.
Don't say.
That f is increasing.
There we go. I blush when you swear, and so it makes me embarrassed. Okay, good. No foul language, please. Not say the word it. I'm not kidding. On the AP test, you write out an answer and you say it. The grader won't give you points because he will not be able to tell what you were talking about. Like you have to say f or f prime. Okay. Awesome. Raise your hand. Who knows what interval this is true? Hands up. Come on. What is the interval where that's true? Come on. Hands. What's the interval of f where the green is true? What is the interval where the green is true? So Drex. So from A to C, f is absolutely increasing. How many knew? Point 2 for Drex. You really want me to talk about it in a different way? Please.
What do you mean by interval?
Oh, thank you. I'll pay a ticket for that. When they say the word interval, they are asking you to think about from what x to what x. So we have this graph of f, Gideon. It starts at x equal a in the drawing. At what x does f stop increasing? C. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question? Perfect. Anybody else? Cool. Let's go with Miri. What is this clue really telling us, Miri? Do you know? Nicely done. So I come over here to f double prime, and I know that f double prime, which I can't see, would always have negative y values. But Miri, what is that telling me for the purposes of this problem? That the graph of f has to be concave down in that space. So Miri, what's the interval where f is concave down? Nicely done. B to D. No, that's perfect. B to D. 3 points for Miri. Questions? Please.
How do you know like what f prime or f double prime you're talking about? How do you know?
Good question, Jessica. That one's straight memorization. So this symbol you just need to memorize, and we'll keep talking about it so it will become easier to recognize. That symbol means the same thing as f prime. This symbol means the same thing as f double prime.
Okay.
Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no. Perfect, Jessica. That one's not like there's no understanding, it's just got to memorize the symbol.
And they will always just use like that dy, dx, like.
There's a bunch of different symbols they can use. Let me just list out kind of examples. So they might call the function they might call the function just y. They might call the function f of x. We might call it, velocity, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Okay, h of t something. The first derivative of that function, they sometimes will call dy dx. Or sometimes they call it y prime, sometimes f prime, sometimes f prime of x. This case would be h prime of t, or they'll call it dh over dt, or dv dt. But dv dt is the same thing as a, so they could just call it acceleration. Those are all examples. This is your first column in Danica's chart. That's your second column. Does that help a little?
Yeah, that does.
More. Please.
Why is d squared on the top but x squared?
It's not on the bottom.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's had students ask that for years, and usually I'd say, I don't know. So one day I found some time, so I actually spent like 45 minutes. After that, I felt like I'd spent enough looking on the internet for an explanation, because no one had ever explained it to me. And I didn't really find an explanation. So I found bits and pieces, and here's my thought. So this could be completely wrong, but it makes some sense. Like I was saying, 3 for Haley, like I was saying to Jessica, if I have a function called y, and I'm trying to find the tangent slope of that function, that means I need to find how much is y changing compared to x. That's why we write dy over dx. Because d means difference, and a difference is a change. So that's finding the change in y over the change in x. Questions? Okay, look at me, everybody. This is not an aside question. Like much of what I'm saying will continue to, you'll be tested on it again and again and again. So this is finding the change in y divided by the change in x on a very microscopic level, like very, very tiny time. Well, if you do that for lots and lots of points, you get a whole other list of points. And therefore, that's why this is the other function we often call f prime of x. It's just a bunch of points, and we can make a plot of it, okay? We want to go find all the slopes of this function. We've got to do the d over dx thing again. So what we do is we take this, and we do it again. Like that. Well, if you look at the top here, it looks like we're squaring the d. We are not squaring the d. It just kind of looks like we are. So that's where I think the symbol came from. And on the bottom, it looks like we are squaring dx, like this. We're not really squaring dx. So I think they kind of looked at that pattern and said, well, let's just call this the symbol, which seems kind of weird, but that's what I think they did. Anybody else? Oh, let's come back to here. Show me the answer. A, B, C, D, or E. Show me. What is the correct answer? You're looking for the interval. Listen, here's the clue. You're looking for the interval where f is both increasing and concave down. So what's the answer? If you're doing this, give yourself 2 points. Questions? Please, Jessica. So are you okay that this clue led me to say that even though I can't see the f prime graph, if I could, I would recognize that it would only have positive y coordinates. Good there? That means the graph I'm looking at has to be increasing on that interval. So somewhere from A to D, this graph of f must be going up. So where does f start going up? A to C. Good there? But the question says you're also looking for a space where this is true. So I come back over to this side and I say, oh, that means I should have used a different color. So that means over here, f double prime must always be negative, which means my graph of f, the interval where that's true, f will be concave down. So where does f start being concave down, Jesse? B, where does f stop being concave down? Actually, all the way to D. But then you're looking for the overlap, because you're looking for the interval where both are true. You're looking for the interval here where both are true. Better? 2 more. There you go. Whoa, next one, number 3.